Right, this is part 2, and we're going to put the ribbon on first. We're going to have a loop at the side here. So I've got my piece of sari silk, which is about 3 feet long, and I've got about a third of it folded back here under there. This is my very awkward way of getting this sorted. There's probably an easy way. Normally I'd have it halfway, but I don't want to cover their faces, so I'm actually going to put this here, and I want my loop to be probably about an inch or just under, and I'm going to tack it, I suppose. I want to stitch it on, but I couldn't work out a way to do that without gluing it first. So we actually want it on this fold, so the middle fold. And I want it about there. So all I'm going to do is use this white glue, and I'm going to put it right on the edge, she says. So just a really, really thin bead of glue on that edge. And then I'm going to pop this on here and just let that dry. Shouldn't take too long. I've put enough glue on to catch both sides, but if yours is not sticking, just lift this up and add another touch of glue under there. Okay. And then all I'm going to do is stitch on this fold line just a little bit either side, and I'm going to go one way and then back the other, just with a straight stitch. Sorry, I've only got my little sewing machine, so it's a bit awkward. Pull that out. Cutting the ends off short. Pressing that down a little bit, and I am going to put some washi tape over this stitching. I'm gluing, because obviously washi tape is a paper tape, won't stick that well, so pop a bit of glue over there. And I'm just tearing a little strip of this, putting it up to that pocket so it's not and that's our loop on. So what will happen is this will go through the loop round, right, over their faces a bit, never mind. We'll take it underneath, through the loop, round, and we've got pretty much equal there, so we can tie a bow at the side here. So that's that bit done. Now we'll start with the ephemera under for inside, and we'll start with something in here. Okay, so I'm going to use an image from the kit, Nana's Roses, that I'm using. And I've picked this one, which I hope is going to fit into my little envelope here. I'm cutting around the inner line because I think it's going to be, I've measured it and I think it's going to be pretty close. And I want this to feel like an authentic cabinet card as much as possible. So there's that cut out. Let's see if it fits. So it's a tight fit. And I want to put it on some fairly thick card, which is going to bulk it up even more. I think I'm going to try it. I think we'll see how we go. We can always cut it down afterwards a bit more. Sorry, I turned away then. I'm going to try it on the thicker card. We can always cut it down a bit more afterwards. So this is just some scrap card from buying a sheet. Boring. Buying sheets is really boring, isn't it? I only like buying craft stuff, really. That's about all I do buy. Sometimes though you have to buy the boring stuff. Oops. Okay, so let's cut that out. This might be a bit long-winded, this section, but I wanted to do it in real time. If you want to go on to the next one, because obviously you can see where I'm going with this, obviously just whiz on through. Or speed me up. Okay. Well, I think it'll be fine. So I'm going to ink the edges of this. What would be nice is if we had a faux backing for one of these cabinet cards, little miniature cabinet cards. I don't have a digital of that, but I'm going to choose just a bit more of the paper, probably thinking about it. It's not perfect, but I'll probably put something like this on the back, just so that it looks a little bit more vintage, and ink that up, and then that'll fit into this envelope. So I'll do that. Okay, so I've stuck the backing on. I was going to show you another trick you can do to help. I mean, these aren't overtly vintage, but I do, certain things need to be, I think. Another thing you can do is use a file. Just go around the edges. It'll sort of meld your paper. Smooth off the edges and age them a little bit somehow. I'm not quite sure how it works, but it does work. Probably best to wait till the glue is dry, which I haven't done. And then back in with the ink. think this is vintage photo that I'm using. Oh no, walnut stain. I'm using walnut stain. But any of those distressed brown inks work. And that pops in there. Because we've done these folds pretty tight, I haven't bothered about closing this. You could put some closure on there if you wanted to, but by the time we wrap the ribbon round, it's all pretty secure in there. So the next thing we're going to do is the inside ephemera. And I started off with one of these, which is a vintage computer card. I'm trying to do this one with all faux pieces, or more or less, almost all anyway. So I'll show you how you can roughly do a rough approximation of a vintage computer card. I'll get my stuff together and be back. Right, so to make this faux computer card, I've just found a bit of craft coloured. I've cut it from an envelope, and I'm just going to cover one side of it with this paper. It's not going to look exactly the same, obviously, but it'll be an approximation, and I think it'll look quite good. Okay, so I'm probably going to do the rest or a lot of it in real time. So there might be faffing about that you want to skip through or speed me up. Here's our faux computer card. I wanted it plain on the back, so I've just covered one side of that. That goes in that pocket, and I've cut the card for the other tags. So, sorry, get it in the right order. So we've got a tag in here, a piece of card 2 3/4 by 6. I'm going to have a journal card in this one with a book page and a library card. I'll show you that in a minute. So this is 3 3/8 by 5.5. Might cut that down a little bit because it's a bit tight. I'll probably put a bit too much glue here, and I've messed this up slightly so it doesn't open flat like the other does, but it's not a massive deal really. So that's for that one. That's 3 3/8 by 5.5, but I will cut a little bit off that. And then in this pocket we've got 2 tags, 3 by 6 3/4 and 2 3/4 by 6. So I'm just going to choose papers from the Nana's Roses kit to cover all of these. On the original, I did a postcard here and just clip that on. I probably will do that, but I also really like the way that looks. So I'm not sure about that, but that's the size. If you wanted to clip a postcard on here, 3.5 by 5.5. Probably cut that down slightly as well, just to show a little bit more of the paper there. And then on the back, I haven't cut the piece yet, but we also need a piece that measures a skinny tag we're going to put on there. So 2 inches by 7. Let's do that. Using a Tonic Studios guillotine over there, which I really like. In fact, it's one of my, I wouldn't be without it for junk journaling tools. It's the 12-inch one, and absolutely brilliant. That and a crocodile. Okay, so we've done this piece, we've done our computer card. Now we're going to find some paper for this tag. Usually I do this sort of thing ahead of time. Let's just see if we can manage it And I'm just going to keep this simple. I'm not going to dress these tags up because I don't want the folio, whatever you want to call it, to be too bulky. I'm thinking of this more in terms of happy mail than in a journal. But if you did want to put it in a journal, obviously it's going to be quite a bulky thing. So that's just going to go on there, like so. And I shall just go back to my glue stick. Sure I put it in the right place. Get my big scissors out for this. Corners off. I want these all tag shaped. So that's the first one. I am going to stitch around all of these when the glue's dry and put eyelets in, and I will just put a loop through of the same sari silk that I'm using here, so it's all fairly cohesive. So that's going to go in there. And then in the middle pocket, I wanted something sort of plainer background. So I'm going to put in a book page, a vintage book page. I'm just looking for one. I don't want to double. Do. So that one might fit in. So I'm going to fold it. A bit less than that. Little bit like that, and I'm just going to take the bottom off just to make it easier to put in and out. So that'll go in there. Make sure everything folds. This is our journal card, which I said I was going to cut down slightly. Maybe 3 1/4 would be a better size for that. Yep, so 3 1/4. It'll vary a little bit depending on how your glue goes, that type of thing. And to find a piece of imagery for that looks quite nice. So again, let's cut the white off. Okay, glue. So stuck that on a bit crooked. I think with this one, there's this little bit of white here, so I'm just going to find a scrap of book page, vintage book page. This is from a German book, and I'm just going to pop that over there. I mean, you could collage all of these pieces if you wanted to. They'd probably all benefit from dressing up a little bit, but I haven't really got the time or the inclination to do that at the moment. But I would quite like this to have rounded corners this time. It looks more journal cardy. I'm not sure that's a word, but there you go. Because my glue's wet, it hasn't cut very well. And again, I will stitch round that when it's dry. So that's our journal card. And I'm lucky enough to have some of these vintage library cards. You could make an approximation of these. It's just cream card. They measure 3 inches by 5 inches. I want to put a reinforce around there, and again I've got this little We Are Memory Keepers gadget. So I've just cut a couple of rings out of that. I suppose it doesn't really need to be on both sides, but I do like to finish everything off as neatly as I can. Which is why this isn't a shabby chic version. Now I've lost my... Did you see where I put my pin? There it is. Steel pin in there so it doesn't rust. And then you just get a hint of what's underneath these. So these two I'm going to do in exactly the same way as I did this one. And then I'll come back and show you where I've got to. Okay, so we're done. I've gone round each of the tags, I've stitched them, and I've just looped some sari silk through as I said I would. I've added a couple of oldish vintage photographs. You could put more of those in, you could clip one to the front here. I did do the postcard in the end. This image was part of the kit and is really lovely. I think I would probably add a little bit of I don't know, a little scrap of text or something to this. Maybe something like this, just to, I don't know, just add something, I think. So let's pop that on. Could use a label, a digital label. Lots of designers, digital designers, do labels. I tend to use Tracy Fox. I also like to curl the long arm of my paper clip, so I've just got some little round nose pliers. I can't honestly remember who I saw do this first. It might have been Tracy. It was a long time ago, and I've been curling them ever since. Sometimes I do the inside one as well. But we'll just do the outside one for this. So So that's our little postcard. And then on the back, I've got this longer tag, the 2x7, and I've just used some seam binding. I put 2 eyelets in the top there and just tied a bow, and I've straight stitched a scrap of lace and a bit more of the seam binding on there. So that's on there. And then to tie it, let's hope this works. To tie it, I'm going to go through my loop. It's a bit fiddly, but I really liked how Heather from Rosehill Cottage did this tie round like that. And then we'll just tie it in a bow. Snip the ends. And there we are. A really pretty, I think, Happy Mail gift. Obviously you could fill it with whatever you like. This band sort of holds this down in place as well. So I hope you liked what I've done. I've done a couple of more of these using a different digital designer, and I'd quite like to try one using just book pages. So watch this space, there may be another one if you can bear it. Thank you for watching.